3 months after Marjorie Taylor Greene abruptly and shockingly announcing her resignation from Congress following a major falling out with President Trump, a runoff election in Georgia on Tuesday, so tomorrow. Yeah, that's finally determining who will replace her.
Yeah, it's head-to-head pitting Democrat Shawn Harris, a retired Army officer, against Republican Clay Fuller, a former district attorney. Republicans are hoping Fuller can cross the finish line in a deep red district, but Democrats are confident in Harris's chance of pulling off a victory. It is our pleasure now to welcome in Shawn Harris to National Report. He is the Democratic Georgia congressional nominee. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Glad to be here.
So how confident are you heading into that runoff election tomorrow?
Very confident. You know, as a retired brigadier general that started in the United States Marine Corps, enlisted and worked my way all the way up to being a retired brigadier general, like I said. And my last assignment was Israel with everything that's going on in the Middle East. Feel very confident going into this race. Y'all guys know I ran against Marjorie last time, but this time everything's completely different. The economy is different. Everything's different. So we're confident about tomorrow.
Let me ask you about that. You bring up the Middle East, and we just heard President Trump talk about Iran. I think it's on record you and your opponent, Republican Clay Fuller, have taken a different position, if you will, on Operation Epic Fury in Iran. Can you tell us how you differ from your opponent?
Yeah, you know, I look at this operation as this war that we're in is a war of choice. That simply means that I fully support my brothers from CENTCOM and the military completely, because I used to be part of CENTCOM. We will win this war. I want to make sure your audience understand that militarily. But if we don't actually watch it and explain to the American people, which I hope President Trump is going to do here in the next hour and a half, of exactly why we're in the war, how we plan to get out of the war, and then what it looks like the day after, we can actually lose it politically. And none of us want to do that, because we're all Americans and we're always rooting for the United States.
I like hearing that, because a lot of times we don't seem to get that, that universal, we're all sticking through this together. Now, just a few weeks ago, you and Clay had a one-on-one in a special election debate. Here's your opponent. He went after you for supporting Kamala Harris in 2024. Listen.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is the left's policies and the Biden administration was a terrible outcome for the voters of Georgia 14. That's why Mr. Harris can't explain that choice of a vote in 2024 and supporting Kamala Harris. Here's the fact of the matter. Shawn Harris, just like in 2024, is for they, them. I am for you.
So how do you respond to his remarks?
Yeah, just like I did that particular night. It's very clear. Yes, I voted for Vice President Harris. But however, I'm a Democrat, but I'm not tied to the party. And what I went on to say is this, and this is the difference between Clay and I. President Trump, when he does something right, like the southern border, I support it 100%. But if we're doing something wrong, my job is to go to D.C. and push back for all the people here in Northwest Georgia. The same thing Marjorie Taylor Greene has been saying here these last couple of weeks. Where it comes to me is this. Because I'm not tied to the party and because I don't have any major endorsements from anybody, I can stand up for the people of Northwest Georgia, where Clay, he cannot push back at all, because if he pushes back, he'll get a phone call from the president. And that simply means that he's not fighting for the people here in the district. He's only going to D.C. to follow whatever the president says. And many a times those things are not best for what happens here in rural America.
You sound like you're across the aisle guy. I know I've interviewed you several times before. If Clay does, though, end up pulling this out, I want to play devil's advocate. Will you support Clay Fuller and the person that's representing Georgia 14?
You know, at the end of the day, just like I said when I was running against Marjorie Taylor Greene, win, lose, or draw, whoever goes to D.C. is representing every person in this district. That includes me. As a cattle farmer, I'm going to be pulling for Clay to get down costs. I'm going to be pulling for him to get down the cost of fertilizer and diesel and all those things, because we all live here together. What I can tell you, when I win this thing, my senior staff will consist of Democrats, Independents, and Republicans will be on my senior staff, because this district, we need somebody going to D.C. that's going to represent everybody. And when I sign a policy or push a bill forward, I want to make sure it's actually making sure it's taking care of everybody in the district, regardless if you're a Democrat or Republican, or regardless if you voted for me or not. My job is to represent the people in this district, and that's why more than 7,000 of them have my direct phone number, so they can call me on it and hold me accountable.
All right. Well, Shawn Harris, great to have you with us today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You bet. Well, to the